If you start something new, you go really hard for 2 weeks and then you don't see any results, you end up moving on to something else that looks shiny or fun, you, my friend, have a patience problem. And that patience is destroying all of your progress. All compound growth is invisible at first because you're doing the work and nothing seems to change. So your brain is trying to tell you that it's not working. It is. It's just in the background. Because everything that you do creates gains that stack underneath. And the moment you quit, you can forget about any of that compound you built beforehand because all of it is gone. The first thing I want you to remember is that the timeline is a lot bigger than you realize. Because I don't want you to set a 30-day expectation when something might take 6 months to even see any kind of small shift in change. So I don't want you to be disappointed in that sense. Because the trouble is, if you keep moving from one thing onto the next, all of that progress you're making from point 1, point 2, point 3 is gone because it doesn't stack on top of itself because everything's always different. And then years go by and nothing changes. So you have to shift your focus from what feels nice or looks nice to what's actually realistic. Because if you're building a body, you have to give yourself 4 to 6 months before you see anything remotely change. And then maybe even a year, maybe in a year and a half before other people see that. It all takes time to chip away and to build yourself. If you're learning a new skill, it might take a whole year before you're even barely competent in order to make any kind of real difference, whether that's in a team, in a workplace, or in a social media space. Never mind, take it further in order to be able to make money with it. That may actually require years. And if you can accept that up front, you will never feel like you're behind, or you'll be a lot less tempted to jump from one thing to the next. Because have you not noticed when every single time you start something new, month 1 pretty much always looks the same as month 2, and more than likely also month 3. It's just no longer as novel. That's why you want something new, because it's no longer exciting. But all of that progress is building on top of itself. You just need to allow it more time in order for it to actually become real and visible, so it can produce some sort of result. Just because you can't do all the fancy stuff the experts can, or the people who have been doing it a long time can, it doesn't mean you're not moving forward. You'll get to that level. It's that you need to remember that they've gone through the same thing. They've gone through those months and maybe even years where everything looked and felt the same until it no longer didn't. The second thing I want you to remember is that consistency will always beat intensity. Because if you train 3 times a week for 2 years straight, you are always going to beat the guy who goes absolutely mental for 30 days, not stopping, being in the gym for 2 hours every single day, and then burning himself out. Because that's not sustainable. And that person, they're going to go like this, like a yo-yo. Up and down, up and down, up and down. They're going to make lots of progress fast, and then it all falls off. And they're going to make it fast again, and then it falls off again. Whereas you, if you do it slowly but consistently, initially it's not going to look like much. And realistically, just day to day, it won't. Week to week, it probably won't either. But when you start zooming out into the timeline, you start really zooming out, because you've been doing it a while now, you will see a nice, steady bit of progress. The best way I can describe this is something like on the stock market. If you look at a graph of a lot of stocks, they start off extremely low, and over time, they rise. When you zoom in on like a daily or weekly, it's like this. It's up and down all the time, because progress isn't linear. But when you zoom out to 1 year or 5 years, you see the graph. You always see that graph. But in order to allow yourself for your life to have a graph like that, you need to give it time. Because this isn't just about the gym. This is about everything in life. Your food, your finance, your business, your relationships. Being intense is never a healthy option. I understand why you may want to do it, because intensity feels good in the moment. It feels productive, doesn't it? Because you feel like you've got your shit together. You feel like you're getting it done, and you're actually finally making progress. But your body, your brain, your skills, they do not respond to fast. They respond to consistency. Because we can mold ourselves and our minds into anything that we want, really. But it all takes time. We can't just expect to change who we are, how we behave, how we think, what it is that we do from day to day, from week to week. That's not realistic. Historically, humans have always responded to repeated and sustained changes over time. So focus on dialing back the intensity and focus on the consistency in any skill and anything that you want to do in your life. The third thing I want to talk about is that you need to stop trying to measure so early. I understand you want to see progress. Everybody does. Everybody loves progress. Everybody sees numbers. Everybody likes to see the scale go up or down depending on your goal. Everybody likes to see the bank account go up. I understand. I also do that. I also enjoy seeing change. But I know that I need to give change space. Otherwise it can never go into fruition. Checking your progress every single day may actually leave you burnt out and may actually make you less motivated to want to do it. Because if your progress is up and down, kind of like what we spoke about in the previous example, to be honest, you may see that as you're not making progress. You may see that as you're just standing still. One day's a good day, one day's a bad day. One day's a good day, one is a bad day. And you think they're going to be in the same spot all the time, that you're not moving forward. When that couldn't be further from the truth. It's just that you're measuring too often. If you want to review or check your progress, give yourself 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 12 weeks. Give yourself larger chunks of time, because doing it all the time will simply skew your view on the situation and what it is that you're doing. If you give yourself more time, then you will actually allow yourself the breathing room as well as the growing room for that to become real and also noticeable, because when you'll notice it, you'll want to continue, as well as the fact that our bodies require what? Sustainable, small changes over time, which doesn't happen from day to day. That takes months or years. I would like you to have a think about this so you don't repeat the same thought process again. I just wanted to pick one thing, just one, and set yourself a target. If that's going to the gym 4 times a week, if that's reading a certain amount of pages every single day, if that is spending an hour a day working on your business, if that is going on a 15-minute walk, whatever the goal is for you, I just want you to set this for 30 days. I don't want you to reevaluate. I don't want you to think, check your progress. I don't want you to look at numbers. I just want you to commit to it for a month and then have a look how far you've gone. When it comes to the gym and business and anything else that requires consistent effort, obviously you can't do the same thing and do it every single day naturally. However, on a rest day, when you're not actually planning on going to the gym, you can always go for a short walk. You can make sure you're getting more protein in. You can always make sure your diet's okay, or you're drinking your water. There's different things you can do around it. But I just want you to commit to one thing. No changes, no jumping from one to one, no checking progress, just do it for 30 days. And then have a look just how far you've come over those 30 days. And I hope that will give you a good idea of a more realistic timeline you can set yourself when making progress. That will allow you to stack one brick at a time. After those 30 days, add something else, add something extra, maybe add more to what it is that you do on a daily basis. The idea is that we start on a sustainable, low level, and we add more, and more, and more. And you'll be surprised just how much you can add. However, you have to start small. No one can just jump headfirst into something and expect to tackle and handle everything all at once. Give yourself the breathing room to grow, because every single new beginning translates into you losing all of that invisible progress you made from the previous thing you were trying. The people who seem to be ahead of you don't necessarily have more intelligence or aren't smart or have better plans or a better morning routine. They are simply willing to endure boredom for longer, and they are okay with doing the same thing over and over again before it works. Because growth isn't glamorous, it's quiet, it's repetitive, and you're going to do a whole lot of it without any kind of applause or someone patting you on the back that you've done a good job. And then one day, those results simply speak for themselves, and you never have to mention them again. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Last week, I spoke about the 28 brutal truths I wish I knew when I was 18. I turned 28 this year, so I thought it was quite fitting to make that video. So I'm going to leave that on the screen right here for you to have a look at if you're interested. Good luck. I wish you the best. Bye-bye.